The number one problem most small businesses face is they're great at what they do, but not enough people know how great they are at what they do. And we solve that. We start by building an amazing brand message, using all of our marketing services to put it in front of their ideal client, wowing them and helping them get new business. When people come to us all the time, they ask the question like, how do I grow my business? And most people think they need more social media, they need ads, they need video, but the truth is what they really need is a brand blueprint. That is the fundamental piece that most businesses are missing. What I mean by the blueprint is, if you think about the plans and specs to build your dream home, why would you try to build a dream business without that same thing? What I've found with working with hundreds of businesses is that they struggle building the right foundation. So they're frustrated because their ads don't work, and because their website's not converting, and because their social media is weak. So we always start by helping our clients build a brand blueprint. So what is a brand blueprint? Think about having one document that has all the aspects you need to effectively market your business. Now, I created this brand blueprint because I knew people needed help to understand what components they need to really run a successful marketing campaign. So let me give you the overview. Now, when we start your brand blueprint, we always start with brand clarity. Now, this is really where the magic is made with your entire brand, and I believe the most important and the thing that people often don't know how to do themselves and really need somebody like us to really help them figure this out, okay? Now, the simplest part of this is the brand goals. We're asking questions like, what's the number one thing you want to happen with your brand? Who do you want to be the go-to person for or company with? Like, what are those brand goals? And then how are they going to be tangible? Once we figure that out, then we move into the fun part. And this is the brand value. This is the goal. And the question that you have to be able to answer is literally, what is that number one problem that you solve? But we package it up in a way that comes off your tongue and makes it easy for you to use over and over and over. But we also want to make sure you have your 3 uniques in your proven process. And of course, your superpower. You got to understand those, because those are things that transform into all of your marketing strategy, all your messages on your website, everywhere you go. One of the things that we also help clients do is unpack, what are your offers? What's your free offer? What's your core offer? How are they stacked? How much value do you bring with that? So when you start having your value, your offers, and then also we sandwich that with your brand purpose, which is what's the greater good you want to see in this world, and what is your role? What do you love to do? Like, these may sound a little bit fluffy, but I'm telling you, this is actually the meat. Because see, once we unpack all of that, this helps us tell your story, how you started, the pain that you felt, what you had to overcome as a company, and then ultimately why you're doing what you're doing. And that means something to a very specific group we call your brand avatar. Now, remember this, just because that your product or service is good for anyone, it doesn't mean you should market it to everyone. Everybody only has so much money in your budget, and we want to make sure it goes to the right audience. So we build out your brand avatar. That's us unpacking exactly who this message is perfect for. The people that hear it, they're like, oh, that's exactly what I needed. Yes, you're speaking to me. That's why we build the message, and we connect it to the avatar. And the last thing that we do is we tighten up your bios, but also we create the brand details, talking about your URLs, talking about your handles, what pages. Man, it's so important to take this whole entire clarity around your message, your avatar, and ultimately, how are you going to deliver it to them? This right here, I can't speak hard enough of how important this is to make sure you spend the time to get this right. And this is what we do in the first step of our brand blueprint. So now it's time to build your marketing strategy. Now, this is when us marketing people start to geek out, because we're taking the brand clarity and the messaging and now putting it in the form of a strategy. Marketing strategy really is about, number one, what are you going to do digitally? And digitally for us means your SEO, your search engine optimization. How are people going to find you when they begin to look for you? We want to build out a comprehensive strategy that allows you to know what are the keywords, what are they going to be looking for. We map those out for you. 2, we dive into what should your website look like. Listen, it's got to pass that 5-second rule pretty quick. In other words, who you are, what you do, the problem that you solve, and what does that look and feel. We want to make sure that's mapped out in great detail for you as well. And then of course, for some people, it's the sales funnel. It's taking them from a lead magnet to a landing page and telling them thank you and giving them an amazing offer. That's the digital component of your marketing strategy, and we're going to unpack that. And then we move on to the social media. And social media is really about taking this message, packaging it in a way, and deliver it directly to the consumer that you need. But here's the key thing that you can't forget. Based upon your avatar, based upon your message, that may mean that LinkedIn is best for you, or it may mean that Facebook's best for you. Maybe it's an Instagram story option. Maybe for you, when you look at social media, you can get away with just using Twitter. These are all the things that we need to figure out. And here's why. You don't want to waste time and energy using platforms that don't help advance your brand directly to your avatar. And one of the biggest things that we really dive into is, what will your paid strategy be? We believe marketing is done two ways. One is to validate, and that means when people hear of you, word of mouth, business cards, and they go check you out. We always know they're going to check you out at the place that they like to use the most. But then there are people that don't know you exist. We're going to have to actually advertise your brand to them. That means pay money to put it in front of them. And we do that in 3 steps. One is your awareness campaign. That means simply getting people that don't know you to know you. That means we use a brand video, we put some piece of wow content in front of them. But here's the key, we begin to retarget them with consideration content. Now they can get more of you, they like you, and they're starting to trust you. And we end up allowing them to make an easy and a simple decision to try you. That's how you build a paid strategy. And in your brand blueprint, we map all this out specifically for your business. Now, in marketing, there are some traditional things that you can do. We'll talk about those. Billboards, we might talk about networking events, Little League sponsorships. We'll unpack some of those traditional things as well, because there is a time and place for them. And then of course, my favorite is the Mojo Factors. The reason why I call them that is some of the fastest ways to grow your business are things like running a podcast. If you're like, what's a podcast? Well, podcast is podcast with video, and we use it very strategically to grow your brand. For some people, it's a speaking platform. And I've talked 2,500 times, people have paid me to stand on a stage and inspire them, and I'm thinking that's marketing one to many. So I talk about that as an opportunity, and in some cases, there's a product or a service, maybe even writing a book. Don't get scared. We're gonna map all these things out for you to make sure that you have the right marketing strategy that's going to help you grow your business. Now, when it comes to the brand creative, this is when we start taking all the verbiage and the marketing strategy, and we figure out what resources you're going to actually need to go to market, okay? So we break this down in 2 areas. One is graphic design, and the second one is video production. So for graphic design, we think about your assets and your collateral. We're talking about logos, and we're talking about signatures and things like that. For some brands, they still need the print stuff, kind of the business cards, thank you, letterhead, that whole realm. Then you have your digital options, like your preheat brochure that may go on your LinkedIn account. Or from a digital perspective, we may find that you have other brochures that we want to put in a digital form to go to market with. And then of course you have all your social media stuff, right? All of your headers or banners, they may be called. You may want to look at social tags. We go through and we create all of these things for you. Now, for our clients that are using Mojo Up Social, our proprietary software, we even build in your social media graphic templates so that you can have your photo template, your graphic template, you can have your tip template, all of those built in to easily deploy for your social media. Basically, here's what you got to understand is at some point in time, you're going to have to invest in creating high caliber, high looking graphics to make sure that your brand looks amazing. Now, once we get past that, we start looking at video production. Our philosophy is pretty simple. We believe that when it comes to video production, every person, every business starts with a brand or a signature video. It's the #1 video that ultimately tells the story of who you are, what you do, what problem you solve, and how amazing you are at doing it. And I'm going to tell you, our team is amazing at bringing your brand to life. Now, we also will retarget with client testimonials or case studies, or maybe a process video that explains kind of what you do. And so there is a video sequence to the way that we do things. But in this section of your brand blueprint, we're going to teach you these different videos. And then also we're going to create your specific strategy for the next 12 months to make sure that your video game is ready to go to another level. But if you have the graphic and you have the video production, your brand kit will be on fire. Now that we have the clarity around the messaging, we know the strategy, and we know the things that you need, now it's time to create the execution plan. Listen, this is an area that we spend some significant amount of time making sure we know what are you going to do, what are we going to do, what's future, and what are we going to outsource. We literally go back through everything that we've talked about. We start with the assets and we start with the collateral pieces and we go through the marketing materials. We look at the video. What can you guys do? Who can rebuild your social media accounts? Who can optimize everything? Who's going to do your website? Who's going to write your copy? All those things that we just came up with in your strategy, we have to decide who is responsible for them. This is brand execution. And then we tie at the all-important timeline. What are we going to do in the next 30, 60, 90, and of course, what are we going to do over the next 12 months to take your brand from where it is to where it needs to be? See, the reason why I believe this is so important to create a brand blueprint is this is where every single company should start. You know, we deal with companies that are definitely good and going to great, and they have some things put together. But almost every company I've ever worked with, we've had to go back and we've had to create the clarity around their messaging, around their marketing strategy, the things that they need, and ultimately how they execute. So I'm super excited to go through this process with you. This will be the best investment that you've made in your business. I promise you, do this for your business. It will thank you later.